My child, stop for a moment and listen carefully, because I did not allow this message to reach you by accident. You may think you simply arrived here because of an ordinary moment, because your hand moved without thought, because your eyes happened to stop here. But I tell you now with deep certainty that nothing about this meeting is ordinary. I know the hour you are in. I know the weight sitting quietly inside your chest. I know the thoughts that came to you before this day even began, and I know the questions you did not speak because you were tired of repeating them. I know how often you have continued outwardly while inwardly carrying things you could not explain to anyone around you. That is why I am speaking before anything else touches your heart today. That is why I am reaching through your noise, through your routine, through your private thoughts, and calling your attention with urgency, because there are moments when I speak gently, and there are moments when I speak in a way that must stop everything around you. And this is one of those moments. Do not rush past these words. Do not tell yourself you will return later. I am speaking now because now matters more than you realize. There are hours when one word changes the direction of many hidden things, and you are standing inside such an hour now. I canceled what could have waited because your spirit could not wait any longer. There were many things that could remain silent, many matters that could stay untouched for another day, but what concerns you in this moment could not remain delayed. I have watched your inner strength stretch itself beyond what others know. I have watched you answer people with calm words while carrying storms they never noticed. I have watched you lie awake while others thought you were resting. I have watched you trying to understand why certain feelings returned, why certain memories pressed harder than usual, why certain fears seemed near again even though you believed you had already moved past them. My child, there are moments when your soul begins to feel what your mind has not yet understood, and because of that, I could not allow silence to continue. Your spirit has been calling to me in ways deeper than spoken prayer. Even the sigh you did not notice reached me. Even the quiet heaviness you tried to dismiss was clear before me. That is why I moved now. That is why I interrupted what could have remained untouched. You may not yet see the full reason, but soon you will understand that this interruption is mercy. Before the first light touched this day, your name was already on my lips. Before you opened your eyes, before your thoughts formed clearly, before you remembered what still troubled you, I had already looked toward you with attention. I knew how this day would begin for you. I knew what would attempt to settle on your thoughts. I knew the exact feeling that would move through your chest before anyone around you spoke a word. I knew what memory would try to rise. I knew what uncertainty would quietly stand near your peace. And because I knew, I did not wait until your strength dropped further before speaking. My child, understand this deeply. You are not unseen in your earliest moments. Even before your morning begins, I know the shape of your need. There are things you call hidden because others do not see them, but nothing in you is hidden from me. I know when your smile carries effort. I know when your silence carries pain. I know when your thoughts begin asking if what you hoped for will ever truly arrive. And because I know, I speak before fear finishes forming. Your name was already before me while the world still slept. Your need was already known before you tried to carry it again by yourself. I broke silence because what is near you cannot arrive without warning. There are things approaching your life that require understanding, and I will not allow you to step toward them unaware. Not everything near you carries danger, but not everything near you should be entered without discernment. This is why I speak with such directness now. Sometimes what approaches looks ordinary at first. Sometimes it appears small, harmless, familiar, even comfortable. But if you do not hear my voice clearly, you may fail to understand what is truly before you. I know what is near your path. I know what thoughts are beginning to form around decisions you have not fully named yet. I know what emotions are trying to return. I know what old voices still try to speak when you become tired. And because of that, I will not leave you without warning. Silence would not serve you now. Quiet distance would not protect you now. You need clarity before what comes next fully reaches your attention. This is why I speak firmly, because what stands close to your life must be met with eyes that see deeper than appearance. There are moments when heaven moves quietly, but today I stopped everything to make sure you hear me. There are days when my work unfolds in ways you do not notice until later. There are seasons when I answer quietly, arranging what you cannot yet see, moving what you will only understand after time has passed. But today carries another kind of urgency. Today requires you to hear before delay hardens into confusion. Today requires you to notice that what you feel is not random and what you sense is not empty emotion. I know you have asked at times whether what touches your heart is truly from me or simply from your own tiredness. I know you have questioned your own sensitivity because too much has happened around you. But listen carefully now. The stirring within you is not meaningless. The unusual pull you have felt, the strange awareness, the deep sense that something is shifting, these things are not empty feelings. They are part of why I speak now. Heaven is not careless with timing. When I press upon your attention this way, it is because the moment deserves your full listening. If you skip this now, you may miss why your spirit has felt restless since yesterday. You noticed it even if you tried to ignore it. Something felt unsettled, not fully explainable, not entirely visible, yet present enough that your peace did not sit the same way. Perhaps you tried to continue normally. Perhaps you told yourself it would pass. Perhaps you blamed tiredness, distraction, ordinary stress. But I tell you now, there are moments when your spirit notices movement before your mind finds words for it. Restlessness does not always mean danger, but it often means your inner being has sensed that something requires attention. My child, your spirit has been pressing against something your heart needs to hear. That is why you must not dismiss this moment quickly. The answer to what you have felt is connected to what I am saying now. If you move away too fast, you may return to asking why peace felt distant when understanding was already reaching for you. Type Jesus, set my heart ablaze for you if you're hungry for more of Him. I know what you felt when no one noticed your fear. I know the exact moment your thoughts became heavier while your face remained calm. I know when you answered others while quietly carrying concern they could not read. I know how often you chose not to explain because you felt tired of describing what had no simple shape. Fear does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it sits quietly beneath ordinary conversation. Sometimes it hides beneath responsibility. Sometimes it comes disguised as caution, disguised as delay, disguised as emotional distance. But I know its voice when it tries to move near you. I know how it speaks through old memories, through past disappointments, through things that once hurt deeply enough that your heart learned caution. And I know how often you have fought those feelings without anyone seeing the effort it took. My child, nothing about that hidden struggle escaped me. I saw the exact second your confidence weakened and the exact second you tried to recover it before anyone noticed. This is not random timing. This is not ordinary timing. This is a moment arranged before you woke up. Before you considered what today would hold, this meeting was already set. Before you reached this point, This word had already been prepared because I knew what this hour would require. You may think many things in your day happen without meaning, but I tell you there are moments carefully placed because one needed word at the right time prevents deeper confusion later. I know exactly when your heart is open enough to hear what it resisted before. I know when your weariness has reached the place where truth must come gently but firmly. I know when delay would cost too much. This is why timing matters now, not later, not after another wave of doubt, not after another long cycle of inner struggle. Now, there is something approaching your life that required my voice before it arrives. I do not say this to make you fearful. I say this so you remain awake in spirit. What approaches may carry blessing, may carry decision, may carry exposure, may carry movement, but whatever form it takes, you must not meet it with yesterday's thinking. Something is changing around you, even if quietly. Something is moving beyond what your eyes fully understand. There are doors, conversations, realizations, endings, beginnings, some visible, some hidden, that are drawing near your path. And before they stand fully before you, my voice must stand first. Because when my voice leads, confusion loses strength. When my truth arrives first, fear loses its power to define what comes next. Stay until the end, because what I reveal first will explain what I protected you from. There are many things you never saw because I did not allow them to fully reach you. There are moments you called delay that were protection. There are silences you called absence that were covering. There are endings you grieve that carried hidden mercy. And there are answers you still seek that can only be understood when you first see what did not happen because my hand remained near you. My child, not everything you mourned was loss. Not everything denied was rejection. Not everything delayed was forgotten. Some things were stopped because they could not remain if what I prepared for you was to survive. So remain attentive now, because what I begin saying here is only the first opening of something your heart has needed for longer than you know. My child, hear me carefully now, because what I am saying to you in this moment could not be delayed for another hour, another night, or another day. There are words that I allow to come gently over time, and there are words that I release only when the exact moment has arrived, when the weight of what surrounds you has reached a point where silence would no longer serve your heart. This is one of those moments. I am not speaking because everything around you is falling apart. I am speaking because something deeper is happening inside you, something even you have struggled to explain. And I know that if I do not speak now, you may continue carrying questions that were never meant to grow heavier inside your spirit. You may have thought this day would pass like many others, that you would move through your hours with the same hidden thoughts, the same quiet weight, the same effort to remain steady while inwardly asking what exactly is shifting around you. But I tell you now, this moment was not left to chance. I did not allow your attention to stop here without purpose. I called for this exact meeting because I know how sensitive your spirit is right now, even if you yourself have only partly understood it. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness in your life and devotion to God. And if you want, you can support me via Ko-Fi. The link is provided in the description and in the pinned comment. Show your support. There are times when your outer life continues normally while your inner life begins standing at the edge of something very important. That is where you are now. Others may look at you and see only another ordinary day, but I see the deeper movement within you. I see how visually certain words touch you lately. I see how certain memories return more strongly than before. I see how your heart has become alert in ways you cannot fully explain. I see how small moments now seem to carry unusual weight, how silence sometimes feels louder than noise, how even when you try to rest, part of your spirit remains awake, listening, searching, wondering why something feels unfinished inside you. My child, this is why I interrupted. This is why I reached into your attention and asked you to stop. Because when your spirit reaches such a sensitive place, you must not remain without my voice. I know the difference between ordinary tiredness and a deeper stirring, and what you are carrying now is not ordinary. This message could not wait because heaven has already recognized what this hour means for you. You do not always see what is forming around your life, but nothing around you unfolds outside my sight. There are moments that seem small to human understanding yet carry deep meaning in the unseen places where your future is already being shaped. This hour is one of those moments. The thoughts you have entertained lately, the emotions you have been trying to understand, the quiet questions you have asked without words, the subtle pressure you have felt when no one else was near, none of it has escaped me. You are standing in a moment where one clear word can guard your peace, where one clear truth can stop confusion before it grows roots, where one reminder from me can keep you from listening too long to voices that do not know your true path. That is why heaven did not treat this hour lightly. That is why this moment became important before you even noticed it yourself. I would not interrupt if it were not necessary. Understand that deeply. I do not move upon your attention with urgency unless there is reason. I know when silence can teach you, and I know when silence must end because what surrounds you now requires direct clarity. I know there have been many moments when you wished I would speak sooner, when you asked why answers felt slow, why direction felt hidden, why your heart remained uncertain while you kept trying to trust. But my child, urgency does not come because I was absent before. Urgency comes because certain moments carry consequences if left without light. And now is such a moment. Not because disaster stands before you, but because your heart is standing where truth must become stronger than fear, stronger than old thoughts, stronger than habits of doubt that have tried before to settle over you. You have entered a sensitive spiritual hour, and I need you to understand what that means. It means your spirit has become more aware than usual, even when your mind cannot yet explain what it senses. It means you are noticing things differently because your inner being is already responding to movements around your life that your eyes cannot fully name. It means certain things that once seemed easy to ignore now press harder against your peace because your spirit knows something important is near. This sensitivity is not weakness. It is not instability. It is not failure. It is the sign that something within you is listening more closely than before. Yet sensitivity without my voice can become confusion if you allow fear to speak louder than truth. That is why I came directly now, because what you feel must not be interpreted through old pain, old disappointment, or old memories that taught you to expect loss whenever change begins. I know how quickly your thoughts can search for explanations when your heart feels unsettled. I know how easily you begin reviewing old experiences, trying to understand whether what you feel now resembles what once hurt you before. I know how your mind can travel backward when your spirit is actually being called forward. This is why I speak now with care and firmness. You are not standing where you stood before. This hour is not repeating old pain. This moment carries different meaning, and if you listen carefully, you will feel the difference. I am not allowing old fear to name what is happening inside you. I am not allowing yesterday's wounds to define today's movement. My voice must come first. Heaven recognized this exact hour as critical because your heart has reached a place where one decision inwardly matters more than you know. Sometimes the most important choices are not visible choices made in public. Sometimes they are quiet decisions made inside the heart, whether to trust or withdraw, whether to listen or assume, whether to stay open or return to self-protection. These quiet inward decisions shape much more than you realize. And right now, you are standing close to such a place. I see how easy it would be for you to tell yourself that nothing important is happening, to dismiss what you feel, to continue carrying hidden tension without asking why it has increased. But if you do that, you may miss the invitation hidden inside this hour. This moment is not only about warning, it is also about preparation. It is about helping your heart remain soft where fear tries to make it guarded. You are chosen in this moment not because you are perfect, not because you have understood everything correctly, not because your faith has never trembled, but because I know exactly what your spirit needs right now. I know how much you have carried silently. I know how often you have continued without asking others to notice what cost you strength. I know how many times you adjusted yourself so others would not see what was pressing inside you. Yet none of that remained hidden from me. Even what you barely understood in yourself remained clear before me. That is why I address you directly now, not generally, not distantly, but personally. This is not a word thrown into the air hoping someone may receive it. This is a word directed with intention because your heart needed to hear that I see exactly where you stand. I know there is part of you that still wonders whether moments like this truly belong to you, whether such direct attention from me is really meant for your life, whether perhaps others are stronger, clearer, more deserving of such closeness. But my child, let that thought fall now. I do not come because you earned this moment. I come because I know the value of your heart even when you question it yourself. I know what can be strengthened if you listen now. I know what can be healed if you remain open now. I know what confusion can lose power if truth reaches you before doubt gathers itself again. Say your will, not mine, Lord, if your soul is surrendered completely to Him. There are things you have not yet fully seen that make this hour important. There are inner places in you where old fatigue still lingers, where old caution still watches quietly, where old disappointment still waits to interpret new movement as danger. That is why I interrupted. Because if I leave those old voices unanswered, they speak too quickly when new moments begin. And I will not allow old sorrow to speak first over a season that requires fresh understanding. So listen with calm now. Do not rush these words. Do not treat this as ordinary comfort only. This is direction wrapped in care. This is urgency wrapped in love. This is my hand touching your attention because I know exactly how near you are to understanding something that has felt unclear for too long. I would not interrupt if it were not necessary, and because I have interrupted, know this with certainty. You matter deeply in this hour. Your inner life matters. Your peace matters. Your next inward step matters. Heaven did not overlook this moment, and neither should you. Remain here with me, because what follows will make clearer why this hour had to be touched before anything else moved further around you. My child, before the morning arrived, before the first sound of the world began again, before light touched the edges of your room, your name was already on my lips. Before you reached for another day, before your thoughts fully returned, before your eyes opened to what was waiting for you, I had already turned my attention toward you with tenderness and deep care. You may think your mornings begin when you become aware of them, but long before you notice the day, I'd already know what it carries for you. I know the first feeling that rises inside you before you even move. I know whether peace greets you or whether a quiet heaviness reaches your chest before your feet touch the ground. I know whether your thoughts return gently or whether they arrive already carrying unfinished weight from the night before. And this morning, before anything touched you, I was already near, because I knew what your heart was carrying even before you found words for it. I watched you before morning because there are moments when your soul speaks louder in silence than in speech. There are hours when you do not know how deeply you are reaching toward me because even your own thoughts feel too tired to form clearly. I saw that in you. I saw the way sleep has not always brought true rest. I saw the way your body became still while your mind continued moving through unfinished thoughts. I saw how certain nights felt longer than they should have, how the darkness around you became filled with quiet questions you did not know how to answer. You tried to close your eyes, but part of your spirit remained awake, carrying things too heavy to name. I saw the moments when you turned from one side to another, not because you were uncomfortable in body, but because something deeper inside refused to settle. My child, I was there for every restless hour. Even when no one else knew the night was difficult for you, I knew. Even when you decided not to explain your tiredness the next day, I understood exactly where it came from. I know the nights when you were not crying outwardly, but inwardly your heart felt full. I know the nights when you stared into darkness with thoughts moving quietly through places you do not show to others. I know the early hours when memories returned without invitation. I know when old concerns became active again, when unfinished fears tried to speak, when uncertainty touched places in you that had seemed calm during the day. You may have told yourself that no one could understand those hidden hours, but I tell you now that I understood every one of them. I was not absent from your sleeplessness. I was not distant when you lay there wondering why peace would not settle fully. I saw it each second when your heart tried to carry what it did not know how to release. Before morning, I also saw your early thoughts, the ones that arrived before you chose them. I know how quickly your mind can return to unfinished concerns. I know how certain thoughts greet you before words do, how some mornings begin with weight before clarity. There are days when you wake and already feel something pressing, even before you can explain why. My child, I know that feeling in you. I know when your first thought is not joy but wondering. I know when your first inward movement is not rest but concern. I know when your spirit searches quietly, asking what today will bring, whether what you fear will remain distant, whether what you hope for will ever fully arrive. Loving in those first moments escapes me. Before you even speak inwardly, I know what your heart is carrying. There are hidden heavinesses you have learned to carry quietly. You do not always speak them because you fear repeating yourself, because some feelings seem too difficult to explain, because some burdens have stayed long enough that you no longer expect others to understand them fully. But I know every hidden weight. I know the burden that sits beneath your ordinary conversations. I know the effort it takes for you to answer simply when your inner world feels much fuller than your words. I know the small pauses where your mind drifts because something deeper is asking for relief. I know the heaviness you dismiss because you think you should already be stronger than this. But my child, I do not ask you to pretend strength before me. I already know the exact places where you still feel tired. I saw the exact burden before you spoke, before one prayer formed, before one sentence reached your lips, before even one clear thought turned upward. I already knew what sat inside your heart. That is why your name was before me before dawn, because your need did not wait until language arrived. Your burden spoke long before words. There are things within you that even now remain difficult to explain clearly, yet nothing unclear in you is unclear to me. I know whether your burden today comes from fear, from memory, from waiting, from disappointment, from uncertainty, or from simple exhaustion after carrying too much inwardly for too long. I know whether what presses you is visible or hidden. I know whether you are troubled by what happened, by what may happen, or by what still has not happened. I know all of it before you begin. I heard what you did not even know how to pray. There were moments when your heart reached toward me without language, when all you had was silence, sighing, or inward ache. You may have thought that because you did not speak clearly, nothing was being said. But I tell you now, I heard everything. I heard the prayer hidden inside your tired breathing. I heard the question inside your silence. I heard the longing inside your stillness. I heard the fear you tried not to admit even to yourself. I heard the hope you barely dared to keep alive because disappointment had taught you caution. I heard the inward cry when you could not shape it into sentences. Nothing was lost simply because it remained wordless. My child, the language of your heart has never been hidden from me. I heard you when you did not know whether you were praying or simply enduring. I heard you when your thoughts became scattered and you wondered whether anything clear was reaching heaven. I heard you when your words stopped halfway because emotion had no clear path. I heard you when you simply looked upward inside yourself and hoped that somehow I understood what you could not explain. I understood completely. There has never been one moment when your heart reached for me and I failed to know what it meant. That is why intimacy must begin here. You must know that before mourning, before speech, before effort, before clarity, you were already known. You were not waiting for my attention, you already had it. You were not trying to become visible, you already were. You were not trying to explain enough for me to understand. I already understood before explanation began. Even what you still cannot name fully is already held in my knowing. When you lay awake while others slept, I knew. When you woke early because your thoughts would not stay quiet, I knew. When you looked calm while carrying heaviness no one around you noticed, I knew. When you tried to decide whether what you felt mattered enough to speak about, I knew. And because I knew, I placed your name before me before dawn not as a distant act, but as the tenderness of one who refuses to let hidden burdens remain unseen. You may sometimes wonder why certain mornings feel emotionally heavier than others, why certain dawns arrive with unusual awareness, why some early moments seem full before the day even begins. My child, often those are the hours when your spirit is nearest to revealing what it has hidden during busier hours. Morning often uncovers what daytime distracts. And when those moments come, I do not look away. I come closer. I listen more carefully. I watch more tenderly. So understand this now. Your name was on my lips before dawn because your life is never outside my attention, especially not in hidden hours. Before the day asked anything of you, I already knew what needed to be spoken over you. Before anyone noticed you, I had already noticed every movement within you. Before you asked whether this day would carry strength, I had already looked at your burden and prepared my voice to meet it. And even now, as you listen, know this deeply. What you have carried silently has not been carried alone. What you struggled to explain has not remained unknown. What you feared was too hidden to matter has already been held before me with full understanding. I heard what you did not even know how to pray, and because I heard it, I am speaking now with the same closeness with which I watched you before morning began. My child, listen closely now. because what I am about to tell you is not meant to frighten you, and it is not spoken to place fear inside your heart. I am speaking because there are moments when love must become clear warning, and there are moments when care must become direct guidance. This is one of those moments. I do not warn you because disaster is already upon you. I warn you because something near you must be understood before you move too casually around it. There are seasons when danger does not appear with noise. It does not arrive wearing obvious darkness. It often comes softly, wearing familiarity, wearing comfort, wearing something that looks easy enough to accept without question. That is why I need your full attention now, because what is near you does not immediately look harmful, yet it carries an effect you must not ignore. You are standing close to something that looks harmless but carries delay. I want you to hear that deeply. Delay is not always created by visible wrong. Sometimes delay enters quietly through things you think are small, through choices you tell yourself are temporary, through thoughts you allow to stay longer than they should, through emotional returns you believe are harmless because they feel familiar. But familiar does not always mean safe. Easy does not always mean right. What feels close to your past does not always belong to your future. That is why I speak now with spiritual urgency, because what is before you requires discernment more than comfort. I know how easily the human heart reaches toward what feels known when it becomes tired. I know how quickly old feelings can seem attractive when new clarity has not fully arrived. I know how tempting it is to revisit what once seemed to offer relief, even if later it carried heaviness. And because I know this, I will not remain silent while you stand this close to something that could quietly slow what I have already begun in you. The danger is not loud, is not obvious. It does not come with immediate signs that would make you step back at once. That is why many fail to notice it early. What stands near you may appear small enough to justify. It may look manageable. It may seem like something you can touch briefly without consequence. But my child, what delays you often begins in small permissions. A thought repeated long enough becomes agreement. A feeling revisited long enough becomes attachment. A distraction allowed often enough becomes distance. This is why I am speaking before anything settles deeper. I am not warning because you have already fallen into error. I am warning because I know how near certain things are to your attention, and I know what happens if they are welcomed without light. You are standing close to a wrong decision that may not feel wrong because it presents itself quietly. It may seem practical. It may even seem harmless because it does not immediately oppose what you believe. But not every decision that appears harmless leads where peace remains strong. Some decisions do not wound immediately. They simply slow what was meant to move. Some decisions do not break you suddenly. They slowly pull your heart away from clear direction until confusion begins speaking louder than conviction. That is why I need you to pause before deciding quickly about anything your spirit has already questioned. If something inside you has hesitated, do not dismiss that hesitation too quickly. Sometimes your spirit recognizes what your mind is still trying to explain. Write your word is my everlasting truth. Lord, if you stand firm on Scripture's promise, and share this video.